And we begin on this Friday night with the weather impact. Right now, a winter weather advisory is in effect as we monitor the threat of ice and slick spots because of sleet and a few snow showers. Tonight at 11, DPW crews are now monitoring and treating streets all across our city on rotating 12-hour shifts. The department posting these photos on social media of drivers heading out. Thanks for inviting us in. It's 11 o'clock, and Angela says this is just the start of a very active weather weekend, isn't it?
We're going to be busy. DPW, NDOT going to be busy. We have wintry weather, heavy rain, followed by snow.
Wow.
Lots to cover in this weekend forecast, and we're going to start with a fairly active radar. We've had some dry air at the surface, so that really did us a favor in terms of limiting accumulation. So not all of this reaching the ground, but we are getting reports of flurries and a few snow showers and a few pockets of sleet. I want to expand the view and highlight this area just to the east and northeast of St. Louis. This is the ice that we are expecting overnight and early tomorrow morning, and it's the reason we are under a winter weather advisory through Saturday morning. You can see that area of sleet and freezing rain building over the next few hours. Here's how radar will look at 6 a.m. This is what Lindsay will be tracking. The ice threat moves out. We turn our attention to heavy rain and snow in the forecast.
All right, Angela, thanks so much. So since we've got this rain and snow in the forecast, make sure you've got our WTHR weather app on your phone. That way you can monitor the interactive radar, check with the weather team anytime on our weather blog. Get it before you fall asleep tonight. It's free download. You can get it in the App Store.
We can say with certainty that there was no mass shooting today at Mooresville High School, and our community is forever grateful.
Tonight, that grateful community is coming to terms with what if. The 18-year-old Mooresville senior charged with planning a mass shooting at the high school just made a first appearance in court. A caller's tip to authorities preventing possible tragedy. And now Trinity Shockley is facing counts of conspiracy to commit murder and intimidation with the threat to commit terrorism. Shockley appeared in court via video from the Morgan County Jail. Shockley asking the judge these questions. What if no one can pay my bond? And how long will I be in jail? The answer from the judge, until the case is decided. Police say they discovered photos and posters of mass shooters in Shockley's bedroom and threatening messages on social media, including Parkland Part 2. Of course, I've been planning this for a year. The mass shooting at Stoneman Douglas High School in Parkland, Florida happened on this date 7 years ago. And now authorities here in Indiana are relieved to have prevented that from happening here and know this case is not over.
I think the threat at Mooresville High School has been handled. There's no indication at this point in the investigation that anybody else was involved, but we're not done. You know, if we find out, we'll address it as we find information out.
Shockley has a bond review hearing on Tuesday. A jury trial is scheduled for June 10th. New tonight, we are digging into how authorities identified Shockley as a suspect in the first place. So tonight we know that original tip about the school threat came from hundreds of miles away. The Washington County, Wisconsin Sheriff's Office revealing tonight how this investigation got started. So officers tell us the tip actually identified a different person as a possible suspect in a school threat case, a 19-year-old in Addison, Wisconsin. Investigators could not determine a locally targeted school, but that didn't stop the probe. Investigators took the 19-year-old into custody, and they found that she knew Shockley through social media, but the 19-year-old was not making the threats. Ultimately, an officer also befriended Shockley on social media and turned information over to the FBI here in our city. Now, according to the sheriff's office up in Wisconsin, there is no evidence to suggest the 19-year-old from Addison is connected to this alleged plot in Mooresville. Now, according to Mooresville schools tonight, attendance at the high school was lower today than a typical Friday. No doubt, students and parents erring on the side of caution. Threats and mass shootings have happened all too often across our country, sowing fear inside America's classrooms. So tonight, our Logan Gay is getting a new perspective on this investigation and the fallout from a Mooresville mom and doctor specializing in mental health. Logan?
Scott, this doctor is the CEO of a local nonprofit that studies student health in schools. She says she can only imagine how things will be different if Trinity had gotten the help that they needed. On the day that would have been Trinity Shockley's day to execute the alleged plan of a mass shooting at Mooresville High School, some students, not yet comfortable going back to the classroom, decided to proceed with caution.
According to my daughter, a lot of the classes, there were only about half the kids there.
Mental health professional and CEO of Paramount Health Data Project, Dr. Addie Angelov, has been combing through Shockley's court documents, trying to figure out what everyone wants to know, what led up to this.
The trauma that she has experienced over this time. This is definitely a kid who was navigating things that she needed help with. That would be overwhelming for even me at 49.
According to court documents, Trinity is being raised by a single father, and Trinity's mother passed away. Trinity has also recently spoken to a Mooresville school counselor about an attraction to school shooter Nicholas Cruz. Court documents also shared messages Trinity allegedly sent to people on social media and wrote in notebooks about the desire to hurt others. Angelov says part of her research is how to create systems that connect better so things like this get caught early.
Figuring out how do we make sure that these systems are talking to each other, because in this case, you see the school system involved, you see law enforcement involved, you see DCS involved, you see all of these institutions and systems who all have data, who all have a role to play. But how do we really get those systems talking to each other and really leveraging those things?
Angelov says threats like this can also take a toll on the mental health of those around the individual.
The reality is we see this now, unfortunately, a lot. And so living in this constant pressure of making sure that kids are safe, but teaching them how to deal with their anxiety.
She hopes this situation sparks action to prevent it from happening again.
I'm hoping that we take this moment to really leverage the idea that this situation was predictable, but that means it's also preventable.
According to court documents, Shockley told police the plans were a joke. Shockley also claimed to not have access to a gun.
All right, Logan Gay, thanks so much. And our coverage of this case will continue online. That's where you can find full statements from the school district and the FBI. Plus, we're hearing from the prosecutor and other students and families in Mooresville. All of it right now for you to check out on WTHR.com. Here's a look at the other stories making headlines right now. Tonight, the Marion County Public Health Department is urging anyone with a mild illness to avoid emergency rooms at area hospitals. So this is because we're seeing a rising number of flu cases. Indy health leaders are telling us that's putting more stress on healthcare systems all across the country. But if you're experiencing any major symptoms like a high fever or a really bad headache, make sure that you seek medical attention promptly. Tonight, a scam warning from police in Fortville. Investigators tell us someone is contacting residents pretending to be officers. The scammer claims the person is in contempt of court and asks for money. Police tell us they will never contact you asking for payment. Tonight, investigators have just released the name of the woman who was killed in a crash near Noblesville. They say 52-year-old Christy Shumali died from her injuries days after the wreck near Greenfield Avenue and Promise Road. Several other people were seriously injured. This crash happened Sunday. Tonight, we're getting new insight on plans for a new athletic center at IU Indianapolis. University leaders tell us they'll break ground next week on a $110 million facility. It'll have more than 4,500 seats and operate as both a gym and community space. Couples in Marion County tying the knot on this Valentine's Day and also raising money for the American Heart Association. Reservations were fully booked. They helped raise hundreds of dollars at the clerk's office. Remember, you can find all of our latest local stories anytime on our 13 News app.